you were talking about the opportunities. So how did the opportunity to join the military come up for you?
So I had a girlfriend of mine who was dating a guy who was stationed at Fairchild Air Force Base. And I got...
Where's that?
That's in Spokane, Washington.
Okay. Oh, that's how... Okay.
Yeah.
There's the Washington
Yeah.
connection.
And I'd never been on a military base before. And so she brought me with her to meet this guy. And when I was out there, I looked around and they were living in the dorms. And it seemed like an anomaly to me because I was like, they pay for this? They pay for your room and board? They actually pay for your food and they actually clothe you, and I was like, well, I'm all in.
Right.
And they pay for your education. So
Right.
yeah, so I mean it's a way to serve your country, but it's also I think a lot of people who have joined and decided to stay in, it ended up making a huge difference for their families in the future and what the opportunities I was able to give my children as well. So that's been really an exciting adventure. Plus, I've never felt more fulfilled, and I loved serving in the Air Force. So I served 20 years between active duty and reserve. So
what did you do initially? What was your first job?
My first job, I was stationed in Germany, and I was a computer operator. So back then, we had big paper tapes, and we had big reels, and we did not even have small computers. IBM, Microsoft wasn't even around, and the internet didn't exist.
Right.
So about 3 years into my military career, a lot of that started happening. So I got picked up and became an instructor for the Air Force for information systems 3 years into my career. And at that point in time, we started looking at small computers. And so that was kind of a cool transition. It's really neat to see where computers have gone since I started.
It was funny. I was talking with someone actually a little bit earlier today and was explaining that my work study job in college was working in the computer lab at the university where I was. And at that point in time, and we're talking about early 90s time frame, it was all MS-DOS. And so everything was word processing. And the internet was a thing, but it was this very mysterious, sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And, nobody really researched anything on the internet.
We couldn't find anything. It wasn't out there yet.
There was nothing there. And I mean, this was in a similar time frame, maybe 5 years prior to that. There were no cell phones. Like, I remember following the time when I worked in this work study, when I went to law school. We didn't have cell phones. Like, I was joking around. It wasn't even important enough to have a pager, like if something had happened, with my son while I was in school, they would have called the law school main office, I guess, and come and got me out of class.
I don't remember how people got a hold of us.
I don't think that's my whole thing. When my husband first got his first cell phone, it was, you remember like the ones that came in the cans that looked like Army ammo cans or
it
whatever?
Was a block.
It was this big block. And so he brings it and puts it in the car. And I'm like, who needs to call you in the car? Nobody needs to call you in the car.
Yeah.
So it is amazing how much, even in that short span of time, technology has changed. But what I find is really interesting, so how does a girl go from doing that, which was a very different type of career field for a woman at that time, it was a new career field period, but it kind of that to getting into nursing?
So that's kind of an interesting question because I really never aspired to be a nurse. I didn't know what I wanted to do at one point in time. But at that point in time in my life, I became a single mom with a 1 and a 5-year-old. And at that time, the internet, I remember just having the new ability to send emails, and that was foreign. But I was looking at my life and thinking, that's no career. I have no future in this. I can't raise my children like this. So let me go and see if I can go. And so I started taking college classes, a lot of them in computers, went to a counselor, and based upon the classes I'd taken, they said, why don't you take this test? And so I took a test. And they said, do you ever think about going into nursing? And I was like, no. And they were like, well, and I said, well, let me go ahead and apply. So I went ahead and applied. They were only taking so many applicants, and I got picked up. And honestly, the first year in nursing school, I wanted to know what I was doing there.